Pika, that background is the best you can do? Well, that's all I ask, is that you do your best. Thank you so much for returning to the show. And hi there. It's time for another hot take. Remember, these are just my opinions. And if you burn your hands holding on to my hot takes, well, that's on you. That's the caveat here, We all have our opinions. Some are educated, some are not so. And, I've been told I'm a pretty bright individual and that I got a good, fair, and middle grounded head on my shoulders. And I keep asking myself, what is wrong with Hollywood? I mean, okay, there's the writer's strike. And then there's the actors striking in solidarity with the writers. And I am a 15-year veteran, seniority rather, union chef, Union 26, Boston. I'm a union chef. I'm a blue-collared high school graduate with 1 year of finished college. I didn't finish my degree. I barely finished my freshman year. I dropped out because it wasn't for me. I couldn't handle it. It wasn't my thing. So I gained a trade instead in hospitality, in restaurants, and I use my trade now in I work for a Boston area university, and we're proud union employees. So when it comes to the actors and writers on strike, in principle and in theory, I side with the union, of course. I mean, if it wasn't for my union, I wouldn't have a stable quality of life, quality of pay, the best health care a blue-collar employee can get, the best dental a blue-collar employee can get. I mean, I've been working in restaurants. Don't worry, I'm going to come back to Hollywood. I'm just explaining my feelings on unions. I know there are a lot of anti-union sentiments out there. That's your opinion, and that's your life. You're welcome to it, of course. Same goes for me. I'm welcome to my direct experience, my truth. But my truth is that I wouldn't have been able to have achieved a very stable life without my union job. I'm very grateful for that. It was confusing at first, coming from the restaurants where you don't have a break. You're not given a half an hour break or a 15-minute coffee break. And that you don't have any rights. You don't have seniority. You don't have. It lacks a lot of intrinsic things and it's a very hard job. Being a union employee, I'm very satisfied with the experience. It took me a while to get around that, being like, well, that's not very, that's very selfish, or that's this, or that's that. It's, so in theory, I stand with the unions of these, of the writers and of the actors. But with that said, I mean, it is very hard for me. It's not to have compassion. I have compassion and empathy. I'm a very spiritual guy, hence Reverend Sully. I mean, ordained on the internet 25 years ago. I'm a very spiritual person. And, but there's a certain unlikability and smugness that Hollywood creatives, writers especially, and the talent the actors have. And they're very vocal, especially with the advent of social media. It's very hard to like the unlikable, to not be able to reject the smugness. I mean, it's because of the people that I follow on Twitter. I have friends on the left. I have friends on the right. I'm in the middle. Seriously, I'm not a fence sitter. You can claim that all you want. I hope it serves you well. I mean, all I see are people leveraging to trying to get me to sway one way or the other. I'm a bit free of that. Moksha, spiritual freedom, has given me that. Letting go of attachments, the attachment to the results as well, has led me to that. I'm not going to demonize one side of the aisle for the sake of scoring points with my constituency. I mean, to be honest, hey, when I was 18 years old, I registered as a Republican. I always thought I'd see myself in a higher tax bracket and be a bit more successful. But no, I'm a South Boston Irish Catholic kid from the projects. And guess what? I'll probably end up back there. God willing. I hope that's who I am. I'm blue collar. And well, there's been this, especially since 2012, 2015, and especially the 2016 election, where everyone seems to have lost their fucking minds. There's been this culture war and this take it or leave it, and this feeling of adjacency, and I don't fall for that. I'm a spiritual guy. I see unity consciousness, and I have a sense of service. A lot of it boils down for me. It comes to my professional allegories as a chef. I mean, I don't get to pick and choose who my guests are. I feed everyone, from students to professors to assistants to technicians to maintenance people to the university police. I don't get to pick sides. I get to feed hungry people and serve guests with delicious, nutritious, and beautiful food. And it's like if Hollywood has lost their goddamn minds, excuse my French, that this is take it or leave it, that all conservatives are evil, and that it always boils down to the leverage of you're trying to hurt people I love. I'm sorry. I accept humans on a human level. You're free to live and love whoever you want. And I'm not going to subscribe to anyone's ideology of fear or ideology in particular. It's just now that the left and progressives has gotten just as bad and maybe even worse than the right and the conservatives. I have conservative values. They balance my liberal values. When I was in high school, all of my conservative friends thought I was the hippie, this bleeding heart liberal who listened to NPR and read the Boston Globe, and now my lefty progressive friends treat me, like a conservative asshole because I have conservative values that I believe in, and this, that, and the other thing that they need to believe in, And so the left and the right are just two it's the illusion of two things that are actually the same. And in a way, they use the same methods. Seriously, remember the whole thing of cancel culture? It may have started back in the early aughts. You remember when President Bush, what he did to the Dixie Chicks? Well, now we've come full circle. Now that's fair game for progressive lefty and not liberals. No, I'm pretty much the old-fashioned liberal, but Hollywood has taken it upon itself to change culture. We need to show proper, mores through as models of the new way, and this all or nothing, the doubling down, and how is that serving the guests? How is that serving just the viewers who want escapism and who want to be entertained? So we have, you have to drink the Kool-Aid in order to be satisfied. No, I mean, what is wrong with Hollywood? I mean, how am I supposed to support people that literally hate me for having conservative values along with my liberal and progressive values? I mean, I'm a balanced person, but how am I supposed to have empathy for these writers and these actors that literally hate me and judge me for having a balanced view? I mean, like, oh, you're not totally with us, then you're totally against us. I'm not going to buy that. But how am I supposed to, I have empathy. What I want is for them to come to an understanding and an agreement, which they will eventually. There are legitimate things, such as 21st century needs that aren't being addressed, such as proper residuals. What about digital streaming? What about digital media? The scariness of artificial intelligence doing writing or signing away your likeness rights for that can be so you can be digitally duplicated without proper compensation. I mean, and for and it's not just the vocal minority. We're talking about the regular people, like typical people, that live, in California, who are like day players, or people who aren't in that like top echelon, who aren't movie superstars, like actors in commercials, actors on our TV shows, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, husbands and wives or partners, and whoever you are. I mean, to get proper health care, to get proper dental, and to have days off, paid vacation, or things like this, to have a living wage. I mean, which have nothing to do about those top echelons of talent and writers that don't have to suffer that. Yet when the storytelling becomes propaganda, and the actors and the writers themselves are so entrenched in this one-sidedness, where you demonize and exclude the other side, and the other side is doesn't do themselves any favors either with by holding on to 18th, 19th, and 20th century mores. I mean, I feel like it's the 21st century. We need 21st century solutions for 21st century problems. But then comes the whole thing of this hostility and unlikability that comes from the Hollywood creatives and that comes from the Hollywood talent. This, like, I mean, I look at like someone like Simu Liu, the star of Marvel's Shang-Chi, and also of Barbie, and saying, just saying the dopiest stuff. And, he's entitled to his opinion, and it's, or private social media accounts. Look at Mark Hamill. I love Star Wars. I love Mark Hamill. He's actually responded to me and liked a couple of my tweets over time. What a joy it was to connect and get this digital high five with one of my heroes. But some of these actors are so progressive, and so, I mean, it's everything. They just don't know when to stop, or just, I mean, I'm in the middle. I see a spiritual solution. I mean, why aren't we giving ourselves the ability to negotiate and to accept and to use forgiveness and embrace all guests, all viewers? This is supposed to be escapism and entertainment, but again and again and again and again, we're hit over the head with this take it or leave it. You're an ally or an enemy. You need to, and bad writing, that, and bad casting, and making purposeful decisions. I'm at the point where I'm like, the casting decisions and writing decisions are made to troll and to dunk on conservative chuds, and that anyone who disagrees with this is an ist, a phobe, or a Yahtzee. I was in I think I'm numb to it now. I mean, I'm like, oh, well, that's the way you feel. I mean, I'm just gonna, I want to do other things. That's not how I want to unwind. It's not how I want to spend my downtime. I don't want to spend my downtime in a perpetual tizzy of outrage. And, my content on this channel speaks for itself. We try to take the most positive, centrist approach to everything. I mean, I am a spiritual person. I grew up Irish Catholic in Boston, in South Boston, Massachusetts. 02112 and 7 there, Pally. In the projects. I'm a salt of the earth blue collar worker from blue collar people. And you have this infusion of academic postmodernism, classic postmodernism, with academic theory to enter preoccupied spaces and make changes. And disruption these are their tactics. This comes from academia. And I have to have a balanced view of this too, because I work in academia. So it's not like I can't, I'm saying, all of this is not ill-intended, but it's being used as a bludgeon to shame and leverage people who don't fall in line. It's and going back to like lockdown 2020 and just like, the whole thing of like, you're trying to kill my loved ones if you're not with this. And I'm like, and there's no, it's all or nothing. And but for this to come from our entertainment and our escapism, to be just constantly used to leverage progressive values and the demonization of conservative values, that's where it's like, it's like a red flag. It's like, no, you need to include that other half of America. And you need to have some understanding for them. And they, of course, need to they need to develop greater empathy. If these conservative Christian people actually had Christ in their heart, which we purport to have, I do. His name's Krishna. They're the same cosmic archetype. And to include and to forgive. These people, who would Christ be hanging out with? Sinners. He literally the people you consider sinners or degenerates. I cringe every time someone says a non-traditional relationship, and and there's a lot of basis for outrage there too. I mean, like, look at Hollywood. It's a cesspool of vice and of abuse. I mean, what started the Me Too movement? Hollywood. What perpetuate? I mean, and it was good to call that out, because there are, shameless victimizations. I mean, what invented the casting couch? Hollywood. I mean, were the 1950s right? Has Hollywood been infested with socialists that are trying to change America into a communist place? Well, I mean, so far, I mean, you're proving the conservatives right on that one. I mean, and but conservatives aren't doing themselves much justice by I've heard the most dopiest shit from both sides. But it's hard for me to have compassion. It's not hard for me to have compassion. It's something called Swadeshi, and it's about service. And part of it is serving those who are emotionally distant from you and consider you their enemy. And to see no difference between this one and that one, because cosmically we are all the same. For someone like me with cosmic consciousness, unity consciousness, we are all sharing the same soul. We all return to the same source. We're either reborn or experience moksha and a reunion with Atman in the great beyond. And it's for us to get over our karma and to negotiate that. But this Hollywood is it about entertainment anymore, or is it about re-education? And then so that's where I come from, saying like, in theory, I stand with the unions. In theory and in principle, I do, because I am a proud union member, and because unions are really built for blue collar people and trying to get the fairest wages and benefits from greedy corporate, overseers. And I wish them well. I wish them luck. I wish them fairness. I wish them satisfaction to get the fairest and most appropriate thing for and especially with with changing media. It's not just about films, and it's not about reruns anymore. I mean, conventional television isn't. It doesn't exist anymore, really. It does. But it has. What about streaming? What about the media that we haven't invented yet? I mean, how are we gonna compensate the talent and creatives in the most fairest way, in the most equitable way too? Just that make sure we have to may have room to accept that media will change. How do we know that this is the end all be all? This rectangle here, it used to be a square, and it used to be free on TV, and now it's the size of the movie screen in the rectangle. What about holograms? Like 50 years from now, when some of us won't be here to see this. But the families of the creatives, don't they deserve a stake in the fruits of these creatives, and for the talent themselves they have the most fair? I believe that they should have the most fairest compensation imaginable, and it's. My friend Robert Meyer Burnett says, it's not show friends, it's show business. It's not what you want, it's what you negotiate. And I know that from my own personal experiences, 15 years in a union, and our contract negotiations, and our needs, and our changing needs too, and how to negotiate that, and how to get that, and without work stoppages, and without without resorting to a strike. A strike is just, one of the ways to get attention and to get traction on their problems. But would it be, when does the writers and the creatives, when does their unfiltered opinions and their one-sidedness and their demonization, when does that become disparaging the product? I mean, most contracts that I'm aware of, I'm a high school graduate, I'm not a lawyer, but I know what a non-disparaging clause in a contract is. And it means basically you don't say things in public or private to denigrate the company or the product that you're all collaborating on and making. So when someone just like Simu Liu, I mean, I come back, he's like my big, he's a bully, an anti-bully. He's just like, so, he's like, wow, just like, can't you shut up and try to and sell your product to everyone? As I say, I come back to my own professional allegories. I'm not going to judge my guests on their political acumen. I'm going to feed my guests. I'm not going to sort them by any artificial topical category, whether it's gender or creed, skin color, where they are in the spectrum of sexuality or not. I serve people. Yeah, and occasionally cats and dogs too. Yet, what is wrong with Hollywood? Why can't you who made you so better than the rest of us? That is just, it's smugness and it's arrogance. And there's an unlikability to that. And I'm saying that as someone in the hospitality industry, looking at the entertainment industry. We share values, service, and pleasing our guests. and that we can't afford, literally, to be picking and choosing our guests like that based upon our opinions or what the ideology of the moment is. Because times change, needs change, and it's very off-putting. And I don't know. I don't have answers. All I have are questions. And a big one is, what's wrong with Hollywood, man? Like, just, would it be better to burn it all down and to start off from scratch? Maybe. Or maybe it's better to come from a spiritual angle. Have some forgiveness in your heart, whether you're a conservative or progressive. Cultivate that and live that and serve all of us, not just those you approve of. That's not service, and that's not respect. That's called favor, and that's, you're welcome to do that. But for someone like me who struggles with what to buy and how to spend my downtime, I don't want to enable and I don't want to support people that don't want to include everyone. I'm sorry that you don't like that person. You must have a very good reason. But how about being a professional? Like, as I say, I'm not afforded that. Why are you? What makes you so much better than everyone else? Is it because of the academic thing versus the blue collar thing? That, once again, how is, we need to be serving each other well, serving each other equally. So what is wrong with Hollywood? Why can't they wrap their heads around that? Is it that they're better than us? It could be a simple answer, and it could very well be that. And it could be also, the weaponization of ideologies to weaken this country, and using our media as a battleground to try to re-educate and to normalize. Normalization's fine, in my humble opinion. If you're a conservative Christian and you don't, then you need to ask Christ for forgiveness, and you need to be more Christ-like, because the Christ I know, the Jesus I know that lives in my heart, he hung around with drunks and hookers and the outcasts of society, and he accepted them, and he lived with them, and he that was part. He was of the people, and I don't know. We're all people. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's just been a hot take. If you burn your hands on my hot take, well then, that's on you. Don't hold on to it so tightly. You're going to have your own opinion. It might differ. Let me know in the comments section how you feel, and like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. We make a lot of different kind of content here. We talk about pop culture. We talk about comic books. I'm a professional chef. We talk about cooking. I'm an ordained minister. We talk about spirituality, gratitude, and purpose. These Hollywood. What's wrong with Hollywood? You were given this opportunity to have to make art and to make great stories, and instead you do something selfish, whether it's telling the wrong kinds of stories, one-sided stories, or purposefully making enemies if they're not allies. I'm not falling for that, and I don't want to support that either. And that's not how I want to spend my downtime either. Thank you so very much. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. We will see you again with more hot takes and in the funny pages. See you later. Thanks. Bye-bye. Subscribe and smash that like button. And leave a comment. Cheers.